Hi, hi everyone. Welcome to the ICAP Student Research Project Research Seminar. And to begin with, we are honored to have our Donghua College President, Professor Chen, to share a few words with us.
Distinguished guests, students, and academics, a very good morning to all of you, and a very warm welcome to our seminar on Foundations of Impactful Research, Essential Principles. It is an honor to have such a distinguished gathering of scholars, researchers, and aspirating students here with us today. This seminar is a part of the ICAP Student Research Project, which you can see on the poster. The whole project, the full name is Establishing the ICAP One-Stop Student Research Support Portal to improve the teaching and learning of undergraduate research projects for students and supervisors. It is a project funded by QESS, and it is a joint effort between Donghua College and the School of Continuing Education at Hong Kong Baptist University. The project team includes Professor Wilma. So Professor Wilma is the principal investigator. Yeah. And Professor Lorna Xu, Professor Simon Lam, Dr. Michael Koo, Dr. Fao Yim, Dr. Mark Zhang at Donghua College, and also Dr. Ho Yin Kwan, Dr. Heather Kok, Dr. Cherry Ho at the School of Continuing Education, Hong Kong Baptist University. So they are all here today. So thank you for attending the our seminar. In the realm of higher education, research is the cornerstone upon which we build our knowledge, innovate, and contribute to societal progress. Today's seminar is a dedication to exploring the fundamental principles that make research not just only rigorous and methodologically sound, but also truly impactful. We are privileged to have here with us Professor Timothy Hill from University of Hong Kong. Later, Professor Ma will introduce him more, okay, and as our speaker today. And Professor Hill brings with him a wealth of experience and insights that will enrich our understanding and inspire us to pursue excellence in our research endeavors. To our students in the audience, I encourage you to take this opportunity to learn, ask questions, and engage with the ideas presented. This seminar is not just about listening, but about fostering a vibrant exchange of thoughts that can ignite your passion for research and guide you in your academic journey. To our academic colleagues, your presence here today underscores the importance of mentorship and collaboration in academia. Let us leverage this gathering to share best practice, discuss challenges, and build network that can support our collective mission to advance knowledge and drive meaningful change. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has worked tirelessly to organize this seminar, especially Professor Wilma and your team. And your dedication and effort have made this event possible. I also would like to acknowledge the support from QESS. Without further ado, let us embark on this intellectual journey together. I wish you all an enlightening and inspiring seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Please stay on the stage. Shall we invite you to present the certificate of appreciation to our speaker, Professor Hill? Thank you, Professor Chen and Professor Hill. Shall we invite our ICAP project team member together to take a group, group photo? Thank you. Please have a seat. And we also would like to have a group photo with all our participants together. Thank you all, and let's invite our ICAP project team leader, Professor Wilma, to introduce our speaker.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm honored to introduce a bit Professor Hill. Professor Hill is a top 1% research scholar among the world in his field, and from with the experience in Sony. And I think the details, he'll also have one PowerPoint slide to introduce himself. But the most important we are honored to introduce is that's why we find Professor Hill to join us today to share with you. This is very important that for the whole ICAP project, we have the meaning, and the main goal is that we want to support student research for undergraduate studies. But for these undergraduate studies, we find that it's too hard for many of the students in undergraduate study to take up one of the major work for themselves, or the 4 year, 5 years undergraduate work as a capstone project or as an honors project. Very different from just you sit here, listen, and then take the exam and finish your course. It's more that we want to find that it is a process to develop an independent study, so that when you go out, not just for a further study, to start with your postgraduate study, PhD, or even you go out to work, it is very important for you to be more independent, mature, and problem solving. And for this project, it is very important for us. But we find when we develop this project, when we interview the students, we find that most of them has a lot of problems to go through this journey. For today, this is the first seminar for this QESS project. And this first seminar is one of the topics that a lot of students mentioned, and also the supervisor mentioned, how I can find a good topic. It's not just go to the database and to find a lot of research, and you find that you do not know how to read the articles, and you do not know what are the good topics that you can use and that you can create for your own. It's not just because we are not in the top school that we cannot think of creative ideas. It is very important that we know the way. We listen to someone, the top scholars in the world, and also in Hong Kong, you're one of the top scholars in Hong Kong for many years, to let us know, inspire us, to share with us. So what are the most important? Once we listen to this kind of ways, insightful, inspire us what to do and think for ourselves, and then you find that it is much easier to get to do something good. That's one of our aim. So you are all, most of those are year 3 students in your research methods. You are going to do your research methodology or the capstone project the second semester or the next year. So we hope that this can be the start and give you some ideas. And we welcome Professor Hill. Thank you.
Good morning, Professor Tan, Wilma, all academic staff, and of course, all students. I have known Professor Wilma for many years, at least 5 or even 8 years. And he contacted me asking me if I'm willing to do something about, sharing my experience on research. Well, to many of you, this may be just the first step. Please don't go away thinking that after this, about an hour or so, you be an expert in research. There's no such thing. It takes even decades to do. Okay, think of a good research. When I was planning for this, I have been doing research method for many years. Okay, but I want to make sure that my message to you is something that something concrete. As concrete, something that you can hold on, not something that's just abstract, right? So I'm going to share with you certain things. Okay, hopefully that will start you on your journey. Okay, I'm going to start off by just introducing myself. Okay, so this is my topic. A brief introduction, because I always believe it is important to let you know my credentials. In other words, why should you be sitting here listening to me? 點解我要坐住要聽你講啊？我朝頭早去飲茶好過聽你講啊？ Right? In other words, why should I be sitting here listen to this guy? Okay, so I'm a Singaporean. I come from Singapore. My basic degree is in computer technology. It is now called computer engineering. So I got an engineer background. I did my my bachelor and my master, and also my PGDE. If you know what is that, that means is the postgraduate education, all in NTU. Before I went to Indiana, is famous for instructional technology. Indiana it's called Indiana, not Indiana. Okay, when I went there, I realized it's Indiana. Wow, the way they pronounce. Okay, and then I came back. But after my bachelor degree, I worked as a system engineer with Sony. 4 years. That 4 years is one of the toughest I've ever had in my life because I have to carry pager. At that time, there's no handphone. And the pager I have to carry for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And when the thing beep, 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 I have to wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. to solve user problem. That was my life, dealing with what? Problem solving. And there was once I was asked by my boss, send me over to Thailand. Everything provided, air ticket, food, lodging. Do you want to go? 呢個世界有邊個咁好嘢啦？ This world, there's no free lunch. When I went there, I'm supposed to teach them something. The problem is I cannot speak Thai. They cannot speak English. This is the real world education training. And I cannot call my boss. Boss, can I fly back? Hey, this is your job. Deal with it. Okay, so 4 years there, enough. I became a teacher. Okay, after my PhD, I was an assistant professor at NTU for 7 years. Okay, now I'm currently a full professor at HKU. Yeah, since 2015, this top 1% in Web of Science. And some of you have heard about this Stanford 2%. This is just something they do every year. Yeah, so moving on. This is my research focus. I'm interested in engaging students in online activity. That's it. Okay, so this is my credentials. During the pandemic, it was terrible, right? Nobody likes the pandemic. But you know, one thing came out positive in the pandemic. My research on online learning suddenly became so popular. What do you mean so popular? I have been dealing with online learning since 2006, 2007. I graduated in 2006 from the US. Within 3 years, 2020, 2021, 2022, right? These are the pandemic years. My citation more than 8,000 just for 3 years. And I suddenly get people inviting me, give a talk here, give a talk there. Now, I never planned for it, you know. I just do something because I enjoy doing it. The pandemic came, everybody interested in online, and suddenly my work is out there. So sometimes it takes more than 10 years for your work to gain recognition. Okay, in HKU, our research requirement is very high. Every year, okay, you know, UGC funded university, top university, HKU. Research to us is expected of everyone coming in. Okay, so every year I will have 30 to 40 people, PhD potential, emailing me. I want to be your student. I want to be your student. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in this. And I need to take the difficult job of screening. Who shall I take? Okay, so after so many years of doing research, I realized that it is a journey. You cannot do it overnight. I'm going to go through these questions, and hopefully at the end of it, you can have some concrete suggestion. All right. What makes research study impactful? Now, this impact is something that many universities, HKU even, are trying to emphasize. What do you mean by impact? Okay. Second question. Professor Wilma asked me to talk about this. How do you find gaps? Okay. Third one, what are some common pitfall? Pitfall means some of common limitations or challenges you face. So these are all very valid questions. So I'm going to start off by the first one, impact. Now, if someone asks you, is your work impactful? How would you define it? Okay, maybe let's change the question a little bit. Most of you are teaching. Okay, I'm talking about the academic stuff. How do you know whether your teaching is impactful? Students can learn something. Now, do you consider your teaching impactful if you get very high student feedback score, 90 over 100? That is also impact, you know, but that is a level, the lowest level. What would you consider the highest level? Assessment, also another level, what they learn. To me, I'm talking about teaching first. Later I'll talk about research. I will consider the highest level of impactful teaching is when you see your student going out, able to make a difference. For example, you are teaching to be nurse, your student to be a nurse, and you see your student doing what you have taught him or her to do and making the patient's life better. And that would be another level. So how do you measure impact? Usually, we will just measure through students' feedback score. That's the easiest. Everybody do survey after that's the lower one, lowest level. The higher you go, the more difficult you measure. Same thing as research. The simplest one will be how many journal, how many citation. Higher level. So you know what you mean by impact. We are talking about something that is not easily measured. Simplest level, you can measure. Just go to databases, and you can find. But when you talk about impact to society, impact to theory, that is not easy to measure. So that first question is a very difficult question. But at least we need to understand what makes it impactful in the first place. All right? So let me share with you some of my thoughts and my knowledge. Suppose you are doing a research on this. Okay, engaging students in online learning. Very simple topic. Okay, everybody understand this, right? I will ask you right just now, how do you know that your research is impactful? For administrator of a university, the easiest way would be this, right? How many journal publications you got, right? Correct? Very easy. Go to Web of Science, key in Professor Wilma's name, press enter. Tarrr. Or you find Web of Science 2 Limited, Scopus. Key in. Hey, all these things are public information, you know. You can go to Scopus and you can key in my name. Everything is there. Nothing is hidden. But Google Scholar a little bit difficult because if somebody have another name as Wilma, you do not know which Wilma are you talking about. But Scopus and Web of Science can be quite good because you can limit it to the university or the institution he or she is working. Now, many people think that journal publication will be good, right? Publish or perish, you heard of it? I'm not sure how many publications you need at Tung College, but in HKU, everybody, San Lei, the new guy, the new girl come in will ask, how many publications per year? These kind of questions, it's very difficult to answer, you know. It's like primary school student writing an essay. Let's say 120 words, so you count. Teacher, if I have 150 words, can or not? Can, as long as it makes sense, right? So how do I tell you how many publications per year? Some colleague, over 10 papers per year. Some colleague, maybe 6 years, only 5. But does that mean the five papers per 6 years is lousy? Now you see the dilemma here. So what we do is we read the papers actually, and then we make a judgment rather than simply just counting. You see a huge growth in journal publications. You know that nowadays. Number one is Elsevier, very famous. Springer is also famous. Nature is by Springer. Elsevier, a lot of those top journal, educational psychology, all this top, very hard to get in. Do people really care? Wow. So what I'm telling you, my message to you this morning is, journal publications is one metric, but it is not the only metric. I have been a journal reviewer. Now they ask me to be an associate editor of the top 2nd journal in the whole Web of Science for education. You know how many papers I reject? More than 90%. Another thing, another same old thing, nothing. And even if you publish, how many actually read your paper? Have you thought of it? Let me show you some statistics. Only about 10 people, most of them your student. Hey, these are all evidence from the literature. literature. So recently I published a paper with my student. From conception, development, all the way to congratulations, your paper is accepted. Took 18 months. How many people will read? The first paper I published, I was still a PhD student at Indiana. I was so happy. I showed it to my wife. You know what she said? Who reads this kind of stuff? My wife. Who reads this kind of stuff? You're not dealing with cancer treatment. Nothing to do with health. Wow, health and... I published my first book, Springer. Send it to my father. What is this? I don't know. I just want to see your name. Hugh Kifun. Very happy. Who reads? 10 people read. And if you take away all your students, maybe 1 or 2 strangers out there who manage to Google Scholar you and find your stuff. 82% are not even cited once. Of those cited, only 20% have actually been read. You know that? You know what it means? People just see your name, okay? And they just cite you. Did they actually download the full paper and read word by word? Hey, very miserable, you know. When I first started as a professor, when I first graduated in 2006 with a PhD degree, I thought the more the paper, the better. So publish. Now I'm getting older. Not so much energy. I always tell my student, I don't want to see numbers. I want to see real innovation now. That's the secret of DeepSeek. Why so powerful? Innovation. Wow, that word, innovation, extremely difficult. Can you sit down there in your office and I want to innovate. Do you think the idea will come? It may or it may not. So as I grow older, I'm looking more at impact now, rather than just numbers of papers. Okay. Now some games people play to boost publication. I know all these things. They create their own special issue. I'm not saying any of you will do this. I'm just saying that some games people do. Every now and then create own special issue. Okay? You see, MDPI is the highest for special issue. Frontiers, Psycho, Frontiers, Education, all these things also play this kind of games. You see, Nature, hardly anything. BMC, British Medical Council, Wiley, Springer, these are the reputable publisher. They don't depend on special issue to make money. Publish with other people in unrelated topics. I've seen a person in education publishing something in plant biology. Once you look at it, we know this person is playing games. Out. Now, this is a standard that we screen people, you know. In other words, just because your CV has a lot of papers doesn't mean that you are qualified. Make use of students as 做牛做馬. This is something some people do. Okay? So the supervisor only make grammar correction or, with GPT now, you don't even need to do all this thing, right? So let's go to the serious now. So what I'm telling you, publications may be good for you, but it doesn't make your research impact. Okay, now can I ask you a question before I show you my thoughts? If someone asks you, how do you know whether what makes a research impactful? What would be the first answer you give? Anyone? Research outcomes can be utilized by people. Yeah, you're talking about the implication of your research. What else? Okay, now, there's something even more important before you talk about research outcome. This is something I'm going to show you. Something you may already know, but you may not put it into your heart. It's here, but you don't really do it. I'm going to share with you something. Imagine you want to build a house. Which is the most important part of the house? Huh? Foundation, right? Is it the roof, the most important part? Foundation, right? If the foundation is weak, what happened to the house? Collapse. Hong Kong has typhoon, right? When a typhoon comes, your whole thing comes. So now, what is the most important part? The substructure, which is the foundation. So for research, what is the foundation? I stress this with my students, if everyone I share. You better get this thing correct even before you talk about implication for practice. This one. Now, are we talking about ethics again? Ethics is more than what you think. If you don't have integrity, your whole thing will collapse. And this is the first thing I expect of my student. You know, some of the students of mine, they do a lot of experiment. And then at the end of it, they find that the result is not significant. No use. And then they come to me, Professor Hugh, I did everything I can, but the result says no effect. And they ask me, what should I do? How would you answer? You know why this student of mine is so anxious? No effect, publication chances a bit low. And no publication, no job. And they ask me, what should I do? What will you do? Now you know why this is so important. This student of mine can simply change a bit, right? Will I know? I wouldn't know. Because he or she will have the raw data. I don't have the raw data. You know that? You know what I'm talking about? The raw data is in the hands of my student, not me. Now you know why this is the foundation? Because if this is corrupt, your whole thing is gone. Now, I'll quickly go through some of these things first. Okay, so you know what is this? Cooking up data. And this guy is a very famous guy. Cook up data means there's nothing. You just imagine your data. Okay? Falsification means changing. So just now, for example, result not significant, you change the result. Oh, it becomes significant. Wow, can publish. So the first thing I need to tell all my PhD students or even master students, usually PhD students, say, I don't want to see anything of this. Okay, back to the story. The student of mine who spent so much time, money, and tears, literally cry doing that project. At the end of the semester, say no difference. So I told her, can you learn what is it that make it no difference? Talk to the students. Is there something problem with the intervention? Okay, do. No difference, okay? Huh? Second semester, try again. I did not ask her to change data hub. Second semester, try. At the end of the second semester, call me up. The intervention students is the best in the entire university, the level. Now, suddenly, so happy. That's the way to do research. First time fail, second time try. Second time fail, try. Never change. Okay? This one, I won't talk about it. It's just copy somebody's ideas. You know that. Another one is this one. You don't actually reference the right thing. I'm not sure whether you heard about all these things, but there are people, they just reference anything they think they like. But when all the references are wrong. Okay? Now, finally, I'm going to talk about this one. Persistent problem of authorship misconduct. What does that mean? Different type of authorship. Give author. In other words, there's something cut off there because of the thing. In other words, you ask a person to be an author so that the person will give you favor. So this thing will happen like this. The dean of a faculty hire a person to be the assistant prof. And the dean expect the assistant prof to always put his name in a paper. That is terrible. I heard somebody like that. This professor help teach the student something. And at the end, when the student graduate, expect the student, whatever paper you publish, you must put my name. Never do this. Once a student graduate, it's her own life anymore. Bye-bye, no more. No more. If she comes to work with you, it's her choice. So this is one thing. You see, that's why when you look at CV, somebody's resume, you don't know whether this is true or not, you know. So don't just look at publications and think that it's impactful. Very high publication record, long list for simple case study, unrelated. There's even something like that. Husband and wife name always there. Have you seen something like that? Okay. Guest authorship, another one. Or somebody is a very famous guru, very famous master. You put his name there in order to convince the editor to publish it. You see, most of my publication now, who do I publish with? Only with my students, you know. My students not famous. I'm also not famous. So anything we publish is based on the quality of the manuscript. I don't believe in these things because it doesn't work. All right? 44%. Okay, have at least, guest authorship. So many. So this problem is very serious. Ghost authorship. You write everything, you give idea, finally the paper is published, your name is not there. Wow, how you feel? Wow. 44 randomized study, 75% are ghost author. Very scary, huh? The academic world can be very, very black and dark. Okay, finally, you can't always trust who you read. Okay, what I want to say here now is this. The first thing before you do any research, you must have a moral, so-called a righteous kind of honest character. Report what the data shows. That's it. If the data shows no significant, report it. Explain why there's no significant. Don't try to change. When you write, make sure every single thing you write there stands. Even your references must be correct. When you write, make sure the authors are the person who actually gave contribution, not just grammar or spelling or what. If you do this, you are on the way to be a good researcher. Still not impactful yet, At the very least, this will make people trust your research. Now, this is important. Okay? Because if you forget about all these things, you may have the tendency to cheat. Okay, I've finished talking about this. The second one, what else? Right? So the first one is foundation. No negotiation. You must have it. If you don't have the first one, we can go back and sleep. We don't need to continue talking. What's the point of talking if the first one fails? Remember the foundation? The foundation must be firm. Okay, that's the first thing. No negotiation, no compromise. That one has to be firm. So, and whenever my students show me the result, I have to trust this is the actual result. I don't want to question, is this really? 係咪真㗎？係咪有假㗎？哇, if like that, I can't do my work, I can't do my work. Okay, so first basic criteria. All agree? Yes, all agree. Then we move on. Okay, now, foundation is at least strong. How to make it impactful? Two things, but very difficult. Significant, original. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit. Everything boils down to these two things. I'm going to show you something. Significant, globally significant. Not so significant, local. Just a small, not original, very original. Where do you want your research to be? Can I show here? Here? You might as well go home and sleep. 唔好起身啦. Not significant, not original. What are you doing? Hey, hold on. But for bachelor degree, faculty, please don't be too harsh. Let them try. You want to go to here? I tell you, many professors also cannot do it, Huh? I'm very honest with you here. I'm not here to tell you a nice story. Usually what happens is this. For my PhD students, will be something like this. Okay, for my PhD students. Here, close here, not very original, but at least some significance on a global level. I'll give you an example. Some time ago, a student came. He wants to build a recommender system. You know what's a recommender system? If you go Amazon, you buy something, Amazon will recommend you something else, right? If you buy Taobao or you go TikTok, wow, TikTok algorithm is very good, right? It will recommend you. This is called recommender system. My student want to build a recommender system for education. In other words, will recommend the students some learning resources. You got the idea? So, is it very significant? I would say here because I asked him, what algorithm are you using? Are you using TikTok? You know what? TikTok one is black box, secret. TikTok will not give it to you. He used something that was developed in the 1980s. 1980s. You know? Can get published or not? Yeah, he managed to publish it. But would I consider it here? No. To be very honest. Although I'm happy that this student of mine get published because this will help him find a job. But if somebody were to ask me, hey, Professor Hill, can you show me one of your best paper? I will not show that paper to the person. It's one thing to help student, one thing for my own research portfolio. Now, I hope you understand what I'm saying. One thing to help students get some experience of doing research. And most of them are here. Hopefully, very few here. Here? If everybody can do that, you will be publishing in Nature and Science. Okay. Now look at this one. This was a paper that I was asked to review. Blended learning in a teacher's college somewhere. I don't know where this is part. I don't expect you to read. It's talk about the teacher college and they're using something like that. This one will not consider a very global or original because something has been done. What about this one? Perceived usefulness, ease of use, technology acceptance by Fred Davis. How many of you are in information system here? Have you heard of him? He is the father of the technology acceptance model. TAM. Originally, this was his PhD thesis. This is significant and original. Have you heard of technology acceptance model? I'm sure you heard of it, right? Now, this is the guy. Original. Significant. What about this one? Have you heard of it? 有冇聽過啊? This is the foundation of the transformer model. The beginning of ChatGPT. This one. Look at them. Google brain, Google brain, Google everything. This one have 100 over 1,000 citation, you know, in a conference. Hi. Hey, original and significant. The foundation of transformer-based model. What is transformer-based? Your GPT-4. These are the people who design it. Sometimes, when I ask my students, some of them know, some of them don't know. Now, if you don't recognize significant and original idea, I find it very difficult for you to know what is good. This is excellent. Okay, one more. I think this one you may know. This one? Recently published? No idea. Okay, I'll give you a clue. This person? Hello, the DeepSeek founder. This is the next innovation by DeepSeek. The next, you know what they came out with? They come out another algorithm called native sparse attention. Wow, this one, unless you are computer and mathematics major, you will not understand this paper. I heard, within 2 hours, 2 hours of published here, more than 30,000 download. Hey, I don't know what happened. How come these DeepSeek people so smart? Original? Never before. Significant? Everybody's talking about it. A new algorithm, a new model called native sparse attention. So I sent it to my PhD student who got a computer science background. You go and take a look at it. And I asked him, can you improve on this? He said, you asked me to improve on it. Now, in other words, in this world, there are smart guy, smart woman. But these smart people usually are not PhD students. They don't need the PhD degree. They just enjoy what they're doing. Okay? So originality and significance. Now, let me look at the time. What about you guys if you want to do research like this? Okay, I suggest you go back here and hopefully try this part as close to this line as possible. It has to be significant. Significant means, is it useful to people? If it's not useful, don't even think about doing it. So you cannot do something here. It's completely waste of time. Not original, not useful. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It must be at least significant. Now, how significant it is? That's the question. Don't just do something that will benefit Hong Kong. Something that can benefit wider. Now, do you know why during the pandemic, my citation on online learning go up so high? And one day I got an email from a professor at the University of London. I usually don't have this kind of people emailing me. So he introduced himself. I'm so and so, okay, from the University of London doing teaching an online course. And he said, thanks to your paper, I've used your ideas to help me develop online class. And because I use your idea, I find it respectful to tell me how he use it. This is on a global level, because it's not just in Hong Kong, somebody in you or London find it useful. So when you do your research, can you do something that you think, hey, if this thing works, it will benefit not just Hong Kong, but globally. Now, original is a very tough issue to deal with. Okay. Now, if you can think of something like this, here, you have a potentially profitable idea. Okay? The first thing you need to do is, if you have an idea here, you know what would I suggest you? You don't open your mouth too big and share to everybody. Yeah? People may steal your ideas and that's it. Huh? Then you cry. You keep quiet. You find someone you trust and you share and you develop. Because this quadrant is where the money comes in. Is where the impact comes in. But I said, as a beginner, try to do something here. Okay, at least here. This is where you should try. Okay, now, move on. Moving on, how do you identify gaps in existing research? Now, in order to find originality, you need to know what people have done. Do you agree? If somebody have done it, and you're just doing the same thing, nobody's interested. In this world, people always want to see new things. It's like this. You better accept the reality. This is how it goes. Especially if you want to talk about publications. And I know from Wilma that even the staff are expected to publish. You know, I'm a journal editor, associate editor of a top journal. The first thing I look at it is, why do this thing again? You know what's the first question I look at your paper? After reading this thing, so what? So you spend 2 years, and I look at it, so what? Why are you doing the same thing? Tuck away, less than 1 minute. How you feel? That's it. That's the life. So how do you identify gaps? You need to look at what people have done in the past. Wow! How many of you have been to the library? Nowadays, nobody go library, I realize. Nobody go library, Everybody Google here, Google there. Our life has changed. When I was doing my master degree, I like to go to the library. It doesn't matter, you don't need to go to the physical library nowadays. Now, this is it. Literature review has only 2 main objectives. What has been done and why. Now, these 2 things looks very simple, but it's very difficult to do. Okay, I'll give you an example. I went to America to do my PhD. So I spent 6 months full-time, 9 a.m. to about 4 p.m. every day, Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday, at the library, just to do these 2 things. 6 months full-time, 9 a.m., 4 p.m. 9 a.m., 4 p.m. Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday. After that, 4 p.m., go back home, have to help the wife, look after the boy. My young boy, only 2 years old. At the end of it, I came up with a proposal and I asked my supervisor, Supervisor, can you give me some idea? Is this okay or not? My supervisor answered me, I'm sorry, I am not an expert in this. I can't help you. What will you do? 有冇搞錯啊？你有冇搞錯啊？ I'm not an expert. I can't help you. But I spent 6 months. So he can't help me, but at least he recommend He's a recommender system. Recommend me to look for a guru. A guru, really a guru. This guy is a guru. Everywhere I read, I saw his name. Can you try to call this fella? Huh? You want me to call this fella? Hello, hello, I am so and so, and ask a question. Will this person even pick up the phone or not? You understand what I'm saying here? My professor asked me to call a guru and talk to him about your idea. Wow. This is my US professor lah. Good old professor. Huh? I like him. He's very honest with me. Say, never mind call him because you just mentioned my name. I think this guru somehow knows me. So, what will you do? Will you try? Email. Aiya, email 唔睬你㗎啦。Call 啊。There's no harm what? The most is bang, like that, right? But I must try. Okay, now you listen, huh? I call. And somehow, I don't know, he picked up the phone. He picks up the phone. Nowadays, I don't think anybody, now everybody sees scam, 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 right? At that time, no scam. Because there's no smartphone. No smartphone, very good, you know. The Nokia, the one, just call. I call him. I said, hey, Professor so-and-so, guru. I am so-and-so from Indiana, and my professor asked me to call you to ask for advice. Now listen, this is where it gets interesting. He listens. And I said that I have two objectives for my research. What do you think? He said the first objective is rubbish, no need to do. The second objective makes sense. Now, once I put down the phone, all doubts, uncertainty, all disappeared. And that thesis of mine resulted in 6 different journal publications. But I have to do the hard work. Now, many of my students are not willing to do this, you know. Every time they want, five, cry. How to cry? You need to read. So some of them, they okay, I'll show you how to do that first before I go about it. Okay, good literature. How do I start? Do you read everything in the library? You don't read everything in the library, it will kill you. Okay? Okay. Now, imagine you're doing something on to improve maybe taking of blood pressure. I'm just giving I'm not an expert. So many people have written about this thing. Where do you start? Or maybe I move it to another topic which I'm more familiar. Motivation. 100 over years of research on motivation. Where do you start? Do you go back 100 years ago? If you do that, you won't sleep at night. Okay. Okay, what is your research questions? That's the first thing. What's the scope? And here, how good was my information seeking? But like I said, if the research is so popular, how do I find? I'm going to give you some tips here. Okay. At least 5 years or less would be a good starting point. If your topic is a very popular topic, like motivation, 5 years. But if your topic is on ChatGPT, no need to go later than 2022 lah. Because December 2022 was the first time OpenAI came out ChatGPT. So 3 years. So you must roughly know when did the topic started. Okay, some examples, some tips. You can look at top journal. So if I ask you what is the top journal in your nursing field, Maybe one thing called nurse education today. Have you heard of it? I published before many years ago in Nurse Education Today. Psychology? Business? Can you tell me some of the top journal? If you can't tell me, means you're not qualified at all to do research. So I expect my students to know at least what field are you in? Oh, I'm doing psychology. Okay. Journal of Educational Psychology, Contemporary Education Psychology, Educational Psychologists. These will be the few top journal. Business, depending on which type of business. MIS Quarterly, Academic of Information Management. You must know in order to start. Right? Leaders, who are the leaders in your field? You follow the leaders. Find the research gate if they have and follow them. This is where you keep track. Library. Professor Wilma is a librarian. He can teach you how to find Eric, Google, all these things. And then when you search, you need to do Boolean. You heard of Boolean? And, or, okay, I'm just very quickly. This is or, this is not. Now, you got to be careful, you know. For example, if you do this, here, developer or designer in Java, or designer or developer in Java. A very different result, you know. Huh? Which one will you choose? First or second? Huh? First one lah. You're talking about developer in Java, so the first one. Okay, normally you choose the first one. Because if you do the wrong thing, it becomes huge. Quotation mark. Okay, an example. This one I asked my student to do. Find the use of flipped classroom in foreign language learning, but not English in higher education. How would you find? Flipped classroom can be in flipping classroom, flipped classroom, inverted classroom, inverting. Wow, what kind of funny thing. Flip, inverting, inverted, everything, you know. And you want language in higher education. That's why searching for literature is not so simple as you think. Okay, some possible answer, huh? Flip, star or invert, I won't go through that, but this is what I use. Keep the language open. Don't restrict it to foreign. This would give you a little bit more. Can you see? Now, usually when my students search, how many would they find? If they find about 100, too few. Usually they will find about 3,000. And if any of them come and tell me, Professor Hill, 3,000 is so many, I will shoot the fella. I said, you are a full-time student. What is so difficult looking through 3,000 abstract? And then quietly sit down there and look. If you have more than 10,000, then we need to discuss further. 3,000, 5,000 is perfectly okay. You know how much work to do that, huh? Just in order to find the gap. Huh? And I'm telling you, I'm sorry to say that many students are not willing to do that. They want a shortcut. They want a shortcut. How to do shortcut? That's why I said when you want to do impactful research, are you really ready for it? Or you want to do shortcut research? Because impactful research, it takes a lot of time, effort. Okay, and then you, instead of summarizing, you need to discuss strengths and weaknesses. Okay. So this is now you are trying to argue. This one is important, huh? You know, there was once I submit a paper and one of the reviewer asked me, commented in my about my paper. You say you only I want to do something on gamification. He said that you are always talking about the good things about gamification. Did you do any review on the bad things of gamification? Why are you always telling me the good thing? There are bad things. Why don't you discuss the bad things as well? Ah, you see? In other words, don't cherry pick. Don't just pick the best apple. You need to talk about the rotten apples too. Why is it good? Why is it bad? Don't just talk about the good things. People will say, what about the bad things? How come you never even mention one thing? So, major revision. Ask me to do again. Okay, then you just, okay, I won't go too much about this. It's just the mechanics. Ask you to, you can report, group, and you can describe like that. Several small scale studies reported, okay, so you group them according to their findings. So for example, you do a literature review on gamification. You say the positive things about gamification, the negative things about gamification, and how you reconcile these two differences. That would be a literature review. Okay. Why it's worth doing? At the end of it, explain why. This one will take you about a half a year or 1 year at least in order to do a good job. Finally, the last point is this: common pitfalls, common problems in conducting research. These are the three things. No theory, wrong research method to answer the research question, lack of reliability and validity. These three things can cause your research to be very weak. Okay, and after this, I will end. Okay, and then I'll open up for Q&A. No theory. I published a paper not too long ago. Where is the theory in education technology research? And I found that this: do not or make use of theory. Now, what exactly is a theory? Now, because of time, I want to ask you to respond because most people cannot even answer correctly what is theory. They confuse theory and concept. These are the two main things they always confuse. Theory and concept, they think it's the same. It's absolutely different. Theory has two types. X because of Y. These are the example: cognitive load theory. Okay. Design theory. Usually, we talk about the first one, explanatory theory. Okay, the first one, explanatory theory. What? Now, theory is important because it helps you to explain your results. There are only two main types of research methods, I summarize for you. Only two types. That's it. Everything that you see, correlation, survey, interview, experiment, quasi-experiment, randomized control, everything under either descriptive or causal. Descriptive is to explain. Causal is to see whether cause effect. Now, I have some exercise here. I want you to respond. What do you think this one is? This is very good for nursing, education, health education. You took a random sample of adults and asked them about their bedtime. Found that people who drank a cup of tea before are more likely to go to sleep earlier than those who didn't drink tea. So what type of research methodology would you use? Descriptive or causal? How many say A? Raise your hand higher. Won't shoot you. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many say B, causal? How many? How come you don't even think? The answer is A. Correct. Now, those people who answer correctly, you know a little bit. So you can use survey, you can use interview to do that. Second question. Social media and happiness. Okay. A study randomly assigned volunteers to either one or two groups. One group was directed to the use of social media, as they usually do. Another group was blocked from social media. Okay, which one tend to be happier? A or B? A. B. There's hope for you. Causal. In other words, you are doing an experiment here now. And when you think about experiment, you need to deal with the independent variable, the dependent variable, and control for the confounding variables, which I won't go into that, otherwise they fall asleep. But that is the right way. Last question. Another study took a random sample of people and examined their social media habits. Each person was classified as either a light, moderate, or heavy social media use. Then look at which groups tend to be happier, A or B. A. B. Absolutely no idea. Hey, answer is A. There's no intervention. They just classify. Now, these three questions, I hope to make you reflect. If you get all three questions wrong, that means you have some problem with your research method. As simple as that. And if you use the wrong method to answer the question, chances are you will be rejected. Okay, finally, and done. Lack of reliability. Okay? So what will you do? As a nurse, you measure, right, your patient. Different result every time. That means this is reliability issues. Clear? So, no consistent. You got to choose the another type of measurement. Validity. There's a difference between reliability and validity. Huge difference. Problem solving skill. You want to test them problem solving, but you're actually testing them factual knowledge, which is just remembering. Okay. Now, because my time is up, I won't continue more because I'm losing some of you here. This may be a little bit too tough. I'm going to summarize by some of the foundations Okay, the first one is maintain research integrity. The first one, which I said is the non-negotiable, no compromise. Significance, originality, relevant theories, explain your work, right research method. Now, if you get confused with one of the three questions, then you need to rethink what went wrong. How come you got confused between descriptive and causal? You need to, re-establish your foundation there. Finally, every time you measure data or you analyze data, you need to make sure it's valid and reliable. Okay, that's it.
So thank you very much, Professor Hill. We want to talk about impactful research, and I know that it is very difficult for most of you as an undergraduate student and started to learn a research method. But think about something important, high quality, and then plan about your work. And it is the way that in your future that you can do something good. And it is very important and easy to understand the graph about originality and also significance. And for undergraduate, actually, we do not aim too much, too high. So maybe a lot of work that we can do, like replica, to do other things. US, they do something, but in Hong Kong, what about this? In the technology that they use Facebook, but what about in Twitter? What about this? So in the subject that they do it in high school, what about in college student? So there may be a lot of possibility that they can do to do some not so original, but try to think about the significance of the work and how to do the significance is very important, that about all the ways that to do, try conquer on that. And it is very good that I think it is very good as the start of this research series that we have six research seminar to start with the ethical issue. It is very important because I think a lot of supervisors here. So when we do the capstone project, the honors project, so at the beginning of the year, you miss the supervisor once. And at the end, and they submit the assignment or the work to you. And then they ask you, give me a pass. And that's all. In between, there is no discussion. In between, you don't know what they are doing and they disappear. And there are so many difficulties for both the student and also the supervisor. And we need to start with integrity, very important, that you do not just do an assignment. You are starting to do something very important. And this is the way that you learn to give evidence and do the way for your future work, your life, and all this, how to manage a project. And in between, you need to be more motivated and more actively seek your supervisor, because when we discuss with the two institutions, and very different. Some of the supervisor will miss you every week. Some of the supervisor will not miss you unless you find you. And some advisor will give you some class to teach you something, but not all of them. So very important that start with the integrity is very important. So it's also good for the whole project. So, okay, so that's some, yeah.
Any questions or comments? Right? No? Yeah.
Thank you,
Just after
Professor, for your very inspiring talk. Now, I think a lot of students, where before they start the capstone project, they always have a question to find the research area or the research title. So can you share with the student any advice?
If I switch on this, there'll be echo. Okay, very simple. Start off with whatever that interests you as a student. Now, let me put it this way. As a student, you are only motivated to do a project if you feel that you own the project. You own sense of ownership of the project. Now, there are also students, I know, my own students, they come to me and they expect me to give them a topic. I tell them, these students, you are still operating at the master level or the undergrad level. You think you come to me and ask, hey, give me my assignment and I'll do it for you. Forget it, lah. You might as well withdraw from the program right now, lah. Where is your sense of ownership? I can give you my research, my topic, but would you be motivated to continue? So my advice to students or to supervisors is that let them think of whatever you like. Now, I understand in a capstone project, there's no, you can't, there may be students with many different topics, but that's where it is. That's how it is. This is capstone project. It's the students who negotiate. But if some students have absolutely no idea and come to you, then you can give some suggestion, but never push them. Okay, never push them. And if I were you, I would do this. There's one student of mine still struggling in the proposal stage. Wanted to do a large language model with to improve students speaking. Speaking, not listening, not reading, not writing, speaking. So I have many rounds of discussion with this student. I told her, what are the advantages, what are the possible disadvantages of doing this? And I asked her, it's up to you to choose. Because as a supervisor, I know what is ahead. I roughly know the technological problems you're going to face, the issues. Want to design an LLM, for speaking, for improving speaking, LLM are usually text, right? Now you want to audio. And this student is not a programmer. Advantage, disadvantage. And then I told her, once you make up your mind, don't look back. Once you make your mind, go straight and don't look back. If you look back, you will never finish. No pressure. Oh, I'm not sure, but of course, your capstone project, you got to finish it in one semester, but my student had 4 years to think about it. So that's a completely different thing. But I think you can start off by let them think. And when they come to you as a academic staff, at least you can tell, okay, if you do this, this might be the outcome, but you may face some challenges. At least let them know, because they're so young, they have no idea. The first thing you ask them is this, the straight and the first most important question. Can you collect the data? Oh, your idea is fantastic. Fantastic. But can you collect data? Cannot. Then forget about it, lah. So whether can you collect data? Who will help you collect data? Cannot collect data. Then I'm sorry, lah. This is, after all, just a proposal. You cannot actually conduct it. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
One more. You mentioned, just not to mistaken, you mentioned that we find like 3,000 abstract.
No, I'm just saying that for, okay, let me qualify what I'm saying here. Otherwise you think, Vilma, thinking that you must find 3,000. I think most of these students will riot and scream at you. What I'm saying is this. When you do literature review at the capstone project, okay, my standard for capstone project is about 10 to 20, that's all. I'm talking, but you asked me to share about the gold standard, right? The gold standard means that right, the top right, globally significant, highly innovation. 3,000, 5,000 is nothing. 7,000, I've my students did 7,000, look through it. In the end, yeah. In other words, to summarize, how much you want to go depends on you. 哎呀，3,000好辛苦啊, then don't do it lah. Hey, just go down there lah, the quadrant, the graph. But you want to challenge yourself, go ahead. That's up to you. Because the more you review the studies, the more you know what exactly people have done. How can you know what people have done if you just look at 10 papers? If you look at 500 papers, at least you got a better understanding. Oh, this is what they've done. So again, up to you. Capstone project. I also supervised capstone project before. I just tell them because some students cannot sleep, If I ask them 3,000, they cannot sleep. I said 10 to 20 papers, okay? Okay. But some students, you don't do anything. When they write the final report, it's as good as a master thesis, 2 of them. Wow. A capstone project, only 3,000 words. How come ended up 30,000 words? Then I know these students are highly motivated themselves. Let them go, right? 50,000, go. Some more 80,000 words. And not so much. I cannot read, Just go. In the end, these 2 papers, they got published in good journals. Because they are motivated. So again, depends on you. Okay?
You just to clarify, one is the number, another is the abstract. Do they read?
The 3,000 words is roughly the abstract only, not the full text. You look at the title, the abstract, you just delete. But usually the full text, then you really take time. Full text about maybe 50 or lesser. Because reading 3,000 full text is too much work.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Sure. So thanks, Professor Hill, for your excellent talk. I just want to echo what Professor Hill mentioned about reading 3,000 or to 7,000 abstract in order to find the right papers, for your literature review, which is very correct, at PhD level. And as for the capstone project, though Professor Hill say that it's 10 something, but I think it's the final product. It's not you read 10, you have to read at least 100 abstract in order to extract that 10. So that is what we call literature review. Okay, so in your capstone thesis, you must have adequate literature to support what Professor Hill said, identify a knowledge gap, and what was sort of research question, and what is the originality, significant, and all that. And after collecting data, you have to write the discussion, and you also have to support it again with literature. So it's not reading 10 or 20, it's reading at least 100 in order to find that 10 or 20, okay? So I want to be very specific about this. That's what literature review should be, and that's what the standard should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question from the students? Maybe not at the moment. You just hear lots of things. So maybe we stop here. So thank you very much. Thanks again for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hill, Professor Wilma, and President Professor Chen. And finally, we will have a survey about this seminar. We want to hear your feedback.